Today we talk about the umbrella or the roof block or the payong in the Filipino martial arts. Hey everybody, this is Tuhan Aditya from LightHaven, and last week one of our patrons requested that we make a video about the umbrella. So we're going to divide this video into two parts. The first is talking about the structure or the body mechanics of the payong, and the second is going to be how I think this is best utilized in a sparring or a fighting situation. Let's start with talking about the structure or the body mechanics of the umbrella. For the sake of this video, we are going to restrict ourselves to talking about the most commonly found variation of this movement, which is this high umbrella or this high roof. And I like to think of it as a slanted roof in the monsoon. And by that I mean I like to think of it as the rain is falling on the roof and it's sliding off the side. I have a preference for this slanted variation, and the reason I have a preference for this slanted variation is because by virtue, if you maintain this structure, by virtue of the structure, any strike is going to start dissipating its force downwards. If my stick is horizontal, sometimes when my opponent's stick hits my stick, it can slide onto my hand. But here with this slanted motion, it's a little bit hard for it to come up into my hand. It's generally going to slide off. The next reason why I prefer the slanted variation over the horizontal variation, because the slanted variation has at the end of it an angle 1 return strike built into it. So directly from this slanted variation I can strike. From this horizontal variation, sometimes when I'm going to strike, I end up getting stuck on my opponent's stick that's right here. With this, their stick either slides off on its own, or I with my footwork and my movement move and make their stick slide off, and now I have that angle 1 to counterattack with. So let's just talk about the formation of this movement. Sometimes you see it taught like this, where your hand or your wrist is right above the center of your head. Now I have a slight issue with this, and that is that any attack that's coming straight down center line can hit my hand. So I like to have my hand just a little bit off center line. So if this is center line, I like my hand to be just a little bit off center line. I do not want my stick to be below the top of my head, because now if someone really commits to a strike and really reaches out, they're still going to hit my head. I like to make sure that the stick is above the top of my head, so my entire head is covered, and it's not like this or like this. My entire head is covered. The next mistake I see quite often is that people will start keeping the umbrella here. And this is how you know that they haven't really sparred with it much, because now my face is right there for you to hit, and this isn't stopping anything. It needs to be ahead of my head and above my head. That's what's going to protect me. And my hand is not on center line, it's just slightly off center line. My other hand, sometimes you see this done, can frame and brace against my weapon arm. However, I have done this and actually fractured my forearm trying to do this, because what happened was, in a stick fight, I did this and my own stick or their stick, I'm not quite sure whose it was, came back and hit me on the forearm because it's right there, and I ended up fracturing my arm. So I'm not a big fan of this type of framing. I have seen another type of framing, which is you put palm in, and it's the same thing. The idea is to make this stronger, this structure stronger. This is also okay, but it tends to, like, I'm not a big fan of it. It tends to impede my vision, and I have found that there are better uses for this hand. Almost always, if your footwork is on point, distancing is on point, and you have some amount of experience, you can make this work to a really high degree of success with just one hand. And this hand, depending on the distance that you're at, can either be looking for some sort of overhook, some sort of strike, or it's just tucked in safely because I'm at long range and I can't do anything with this hand. Now let's talk about how we get into this umbrella. Because I'm moving, I may be fighting, or I may be flowing, and I need to be able to form this structure. Now you can just stick this up there, but in my experience, if I'm just sticking an umbrella up there and waiting for someone to come and strike me with full power, it can oftentimes crash through. So instead, what I like to do is I like to have slight upward momentum with the umbrella and meet their attack with my umbrella. So I'm not just sticking it out there trying to make it strong and waiting for them to hit me. I am rising with my umbrella and meeting their attack with my umbrella. This has worked much better for me than when I've just been waiting for that attack to come and hit me. I want to pause this video right now for a quick shout out to our sponsors, our patrons. It's really hard to make any money on YouTube, and without the support of our patrons over on our Patreon page, it would be really hard to keep these videos coming. If you'd like to know more about our Patreon page and the exclusive content that we offer there, we upload about 3 videos exclusively for Patreon every week. Please check out the link in the description down below. Thank you to all of our patrons, and let's get back to the video. Now let's talk about how I like to use the umbrella, or how I've seen it used best. Now first we have to talk about footwork, because the umbrella for me should just be your insurance policy. It shouldn't be what you're relying completely on, because at some point it is going to fail you, depending on either you've misjudged the timing of the attack, or it's come from too high, or it's hit too hard. You're going to misjudge that attack, it's going to crash through, or you have missed it completely and it's going to hit you. Your footwork is what is mainly keeping you safe, and your umbrella is your insurance policy. So if the attack is coming, my footwork is getting me out of the way, and the umbrella is the insurance policy. That's really important, and you can be doing this either in a triangle step, getting off center line, forming the umbrella and then attacking back, or as I'm making the umbrella, I'm going back and coming back forward with the attack. Either way is good, but your footwork is what's getting you out of the way of the attack, and the umbrella is the insurance policy. The thing I really want to stress on when we're talking about using the umbrella is don't just think of it as a block. Means that attacks are coming and I'm just blocking, I'm just blocking, I'm just blocking, I'm just blocking, I'm just blocking with whatever blocks I may want to use. It's just a block. That's not how I want you guys to think of the umbrella. I want you guys to think of the umbrella as sort of the setup for counter attacks, because it's most powerful, especially this shape is most powerful for me to deflect an oncoming attack and begin an attack of my own. If all I do is block, 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 at some point an attack is going to come through. I don't want to keep being on the defensive. I want to go immediately from being the one who's receiving an attack to counter attack. I don't want to take too much time. And again, whether you do this stepping back and then stepping forward, getting off line and then stepping forward, you may be baiting them, they give you an angle one, again the umbrella comes up and then you hit them. There's so many ways of doing this, but you want to be using or thinking of this umbrella as the beginning of your counter attack and not just as one of a series of blocks. The last thing I want to talk about is range. If I'm too close to my opponent and they're giving me an angle one, it's going to be really hard for me to get that umbrella up in time, and almost certainly either my stick is going to hit my own face or their stick is going to hit me in the face. The umbrella needs to be long range or somewhere between long and medium range. When you start coming from medium to close range, it's really, really hard for you to A, react in time, B, get the umbrella up in the correct shape in time, and C, get out of the way in time. You're not going to have time to react. You can use it to bridge. You can go from long range to medium range in that umbrella and then come in closer either with a punyo strike, or you're pushing them back with your hand and then attacking after that. You can do all of those things, but even here the umbrella is being used at long range or medium range. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you learned from what you saw, please do like and share this video. If you have anything to add, leave that in the discussions down below. Please do subscribe to the channel. All of these things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. A huge thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to know more about our Patreon page and the exclusive content that we offer there, check out the link in the description down below. Lastly, thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.